Lights up bright, though Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State, where champions run. Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
Welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. My name is KB. With me is the old man. And we are talking, obviously, Florida State football. We're talking Clemson wrap up. Virginia Tech, drones is coming to Tallahassee. Final home game, senior night
Well, I
for
thought you
the
meant
squad.
drones in the sky. Well, he could be throwing the ball, so it could be in the sky, KB.
Drones over the United States was last year. So, but we do have drones coming to Florida State, and we'll see what he can do against his defense. So we'll talk about, like I said, those two. Clemson wrap up Virginia Tech, what we should expect there, why it's important to Florida State still as they try to get to bowl eligibility, what it could mean for Mike Norvell's future if that future is not wrapped up, and what the college football playoff picture looks like now. We'll do some wrap up college football news notes,
Maybe a little basketball.
maybe a little basketball. We'll see about that if we have time. But let us know in the comments your thoughts, comments. If you disagree, agree, any other topics you think we should cover as we go through this. Let's break into it. Anything you want to bring up before we dive into our first topic here?
No. I had a good day yesterday, Veterans Day here in the United States. Obviously, always a big day for vets, including myself. And it was cold here. It was actually, I'm down in Florida, obviously Central Florida. It was 30, 40 degrees down here, so which is unusual. Maybe some of the coldest temperatures of the winters down here. But a salute to all my fellow veterans out there, and I did see a lot of them at the Golden Corral. The Golden Corral. On Veterans Day, there's a lot of businesses out there that give you, free compliments, let's say, to honor your service. And I was by myself, so I ventured over to the Golden Corral. I had done that years ago, and I went about 7 o'clock because at 4 o'clock the line is out the parking lot. And so I went at 7, and there was still a little bit of a line, but and had a nice the ladies at the Golden Corral on 466 in the Villages, Florida, couldn't have been any nicer. They were super, super nice. They had a long day, and they kept the smiles on their faces, and they fed us very, very well. Very, very well.
Nice.
So you ever been to Golden Corral there, KB?
Not in 20 decades, or two decades probably. So
Never since your parents dragged you in there.
yeah,
Never to return
not on
after
my
a
bucket list.
large case of the diarrhea.
Yeah, not on my top of my list.
So no, it was a very good day. How about yourself? Did you was your
Just
office
worked.
open?
Yeah, we were open. So
Do you guys have any special freebies for veterans?
We're
No?
not in a retail type of environment, so
Oh,
it's
I
no
see.
no discounts like that.
You
But
could take out an ad on TV or something. All right, let's move on.
all right. So I thought it would be, obviously, if you missed our reaction show on Clemson, we did that Saturday night, coming off that 24-10 loss, a game in which I think you and I agreed. Obviously, it's frustrating to watch. It's kind of the same old story of Florida State at this point in the season. We know who they are. When they lose, it's due to just a lack of complementary football. One side shows up, the other doesn't. And this week, it was the offense not putting their foot forward.
And I think
doing their thing.
you pointed out very clearly in the reaction show after the game that, again, it was one of these consistently inconsistent, non-complimentary football. You know, if the defense is having a good day, the offense can't score any points. Correct. You know, and if the offense is scoring a lot of points, the defense can't get any stops. Correct. It's been kind of weird that year, and Clemson not only had that, but it also had the turnovers, you know, couldn't score any points, and very, very big penalties at the wrong time. So,
yeah, drop balls. I mean, it was just a total disaster on the offensive end. We saw kind of this, you know, we saw Tommy for kind of who he is. He's not a great quarterback. He's a very average plus athletic quarterback who can't consistently make the big throws. You saw him miss a throw to score a wide deep, which should have been a touchdown. We saw him fumble in those, you know, in the red zone. You know, throwing balls behind guys. You know, obviously the Randy Pittman ball has to be caught by Randy.
Very uncharacteristic. Now, Coach Norvell did say that, KB, all week. Been watching his pressers, as hard as it is to watch those pressers. He did say a lot of uncharacteristic play and execution by players, and Gus Malzahn said that too.
Yeah, so it was a rough day. It was a really rough day for the offense. Defense, for, you know, they forced 6 punts in the game. You know, you had more yardage than Clemson. You know, for all in all, obviously you gave up 24 points, but you gave your offense plenty of chances to score in this game. That defense was on the field a whole lot. And this isn't, you know, this isn't an elite Clemson offense, obviously, this year, but they still have a lot of playmakers. And I thought our defense did good enough, especially I thought the line played pretty well. Linebackers still get caught, you know, in space, but I thought the defense showed up for the most part and did their thing and kept you in it. And this obviously just came down to guys not making plays, like you said. It wasn't. It really wasn't a game plan thing or, you know, wrong plays called at the wrong time. I thought the players are put in the right positions to succeed. They just didn't execute.
Yeah, and we
and
put
that's
this
disappointing.
one more on the players than the coaches, correct?
100%.
I would,
100%.
and I agree with it. I agree with that.
And that's what killed you. And, you know, and you could talk about, you know, offensive line play and stuff like that, because, you know, you really didn't get to establish the run super well when we said that was going to be a key to the game against Clemson and establishing the run against them. And you ran for, you had a pretty good clip, but you had to play from behind because you couldn't get that running game consistently going against Clemson. And we know, like we talked about, Tommy has a ceiling, and the ceiling is not, you're not going to be able to come from behind passing the ball with Tommy. It's just not going to happen. Him throwing the ball 43 times against Clemson is a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for disaster.
That's not his game.
Not his game. And, you know, you ran the ball 26 times for 110 yards. I said in the preview show, I think, you know, we needed to get 125, 150 yards to win this game, and we are well underneath that mark. You know, and you went to your stable running backs. You know, Singleton had 6 carries, Usman had 3, Jalen Lucas had 2, Danzy had 1, Sawchuk 1. I mean, once again, no one really got into a rhythm here. And some guys, you know, Singleton had a long of 12, Usman had a long of 14. Guys flash here and there, but we couldn't grind away and really make them respect that and open up the pass game. And then that goes along with guys just not getting that pass completion to extend the drive. So we just really weren't able to get that balance on the offense. And it was really on the shoulders of Deuce Robinson all night with his 124 yards. No one else really kind of stepped up beside him. Loane McCoy with the other touchdown in the end zone there to get us on the board, thankfully. But Wayne McCoy, we could go off again. He made his mistakes in this game, obviously, as a young guy, penalties that killed drives. And we talked about this. Those things, what Wayne McCoy did, and you could talk about the refs and who threw the first punch and, you know, stuff like that. But these things aren't on the coaches. At some point, these players have to take accountability for themselves and their
what
play.
Goes on between the lines.
Yeah, and this, once again, things that he did affected the gameplay and the drive momentum and things like that. Things that Randy Pittman did, things that Tommy did. It was across this entire team, and it was frustrating to watch because we've seen it all season.
And Weinberg contributed too by missing a field goal.
Yep, he missed what I would consider a chip shot, especially now when guys are kicking 65-yarders routinely in the NFL. Right. He misses He hits a 46-yarder but misses, I think, a 30-ish yarder, and he shanked it. And that could have been the difference as you were making that comeback. It could have made this more giving you more of that momentum. So tough loss. I don't want to dive back into it too much, but it's been, you saw the theme of every loss this year. It's just not proper execution on one side of the ball or the other. And last week it was the offense. And once again, you're going to need to play a complete game. Even though you're playing Virginia Tech, you're playing a 3-5 Clemson last week. You're playing a 3-6 Virginia Tech this week. If you don't execute, you're not. It doesn't matter who you think Florida State is or who the most dedicated Florida State fans think we have. You're not going to win football games because this team doesn't have elite playmakers that can overcome mistake after mistake after mistake. We just put up 10 points against Clemson. I thought early in the season that this offense was going to score 30 per game. We just put up 10.
Well, we're averaging over 30 nationally now still. Now we blew up the 2 cupcakes, so you got a lot of, you drove up your average there, but we're still averaging over 30 points, I think, nationally.
Yeah.
Like number 3 or number 4 in the country scoring, which makes, and that's one of the things I want to lead into a little bit and get your opinion on. As you said in the Clemson game, and it has been kind of a trend now, is we have this carousel of running backs, right? Nobody can really get into a rhythm, and remember what we said about Gus? Everybody said Gus has a bell cow. He has 1 guy, maybe 2 guys. We're seeing 3, 4, 5 running backs come in. And when that question comes up at pressers, Mike's answer is, well, it's all situational football and packages. And you know what? It's almost too damn complicated, right? I don't know if they're trying to please everybody, or they can't find the right combo. I think they have a pretty good running back room. I really do. Look at all the guys in there. You've got veterans in there. You've got young guys in there. But it's almost like, okay, you didn't get a chance last week. Now you're up. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't.
Well, Sawchuk got 1 carry. He was the bell cow the first 4 or 5 games, right?
That's why he came to this team. Yeah. He came to this team to be the most productive running back on this team. Okay. Yeah. And some of the other guys have disappeared. And then Crowmar, they got Crowmar, and he was good, and his carries have dropped off. Now, let me say this to this point, then I'll get your opinion on all of this about this rotation. Is Mike Norvell said that watch for an increase in Usman Crowmar carries over the next 3 games. Okay. So I think I wouldn't be surprised to see much more of him and Singleton. They probably want to retain both these guys. Now, what are the goals over the next 3 games? It's not only to win games. I get that, but it's not, in a way that's important, but it's also to who you're going to retain on this roster, but if you put them in the game, they have great games. They could say, well, I'm going in the portal. I don't want to rebuild again next year. I'm going in the portal and make some decent money. Because I think teams already looked at these guys and say, these 2 guys have some ability. Okay. Yeah. Now, depending where they go. So it's a win-lose thing. What's your thoughts on all that?
I mean, I don't want to double talk because I said for a couple of weeks that I'd prefer to see younger guys. I prefer to see Kevin Sperry over Tommy Castellanos at this point because I know what he had. And, you
want
just
a
said
youth movement.
Yeah. Well, not a total. I want a youth movement if we think those players are ready to play. And if I think they can elevate the level of play. Because my argument for Kevin Sperry was we've seen a little bit of him. He didn't look like a freshman, like he was scared. Like when I saw Brock Glenn for the first time, it looked like he was a little nervous, like he couldn't function behind an offensive line and in this play. When Kevin Sperry came in, and the competition was not Division 1A level, but he came in, he delivered the football, looked accurate, he was running the offense, and this is a true freshman. And I was like, and he has the athletic ability, he has some wheels on him, and then he's a true kind of quarterback. We know based on his tape that he can lay the ball out there and go, he's a true passer, unlike Tommy. And at this point, we know what Tommy's limitations are. We knew them coming in when we recruited him. I would go with Kevin Sperry just because I think he has a higher ceiling.
Oh, okay. But you don't say he's better right now than Tommy.
No, as a true freshman, I wouldn't say he's
decision
better.
They're gonna have to make.
But does he give you more opportunities to make plays based on his raw talent? Potentially. That I don't see the practices every day. I don't see what's happening in those practices. But if he's making big throws in practices and showing he has a game arm, a live arm that can make those deep throws consistently in practice, and Tommy's not there with it, I'd go with Kevin. But once again, I'm not in those practices. Same thing with kind of what you were saying with Sawchuk. Sawchuk came in, he wanted to play. I think he got plenty of chances early. And he played.
He's a junior. He's a junior. He could come back next year, which I suspect he will.
I don't. Is he?
I think he's a junior.
I don't.
Which surprised me a little bit when I saw. I'll look it up.
Someone needs to. Go. Yeah, it says he's junior. So he may have eligibility to come back. And I think he's played okay. I mean, his averages are good. He's got 8 touchdowns this year. He's not an elite running back. He's not going to burst down the sideline for a touchdown, in my opinion. He's not a Trey Benson. He's a very good running back, though. He's a running back that many teams in the ACC would love to have. Yes, and he can break tackles. He's a very good running back, but he's not dynamic. And so I think you saw their running backs on this team, like Sam Singleton and Cromon. They were trying to figure out keep fresh legs in with this type of sideline offense and keep it. So I think they're trying to find that balance. I don't know necessarily if it was a youth movement type of thing, but I think they're trying to find a dynamic running back, a guy that could break a big play, break a big touchdown, and kind of find that Dancy of the running back room, maybe. And kind of what they found with him. And like I said, I think they figured out Dancy's can be a receiving weapon versus just this gadget guy that you kind of toss the ball back to, like we did early in the season. So I think they were trying to figure out who could be that more dynamic back, and maybe that's why they've tapered down the carries. Also, like you said, also to incentivize, hey, we are going to give our young guys who've been on the roster, like Sam Singleton, the chance to show what they have. We're also going to give true freshmen the chance, the highly recruited freshmen, a chance to show what they have. But you can't do that when you're giving 3-4 guys carries. I don't know if that's necessarily selling that proposition to them. Like I gave you the totals for last week. I mean, it was 4 for Chrome. And once again, if you don't get the running game going, it doesn't help anybody, right? If you can't get it consistently going.
Listen, you just got to get your running game going. You got to meet your goals for that particular game.
I mean, Chroma 3 carries. Jalen Lucas 2. Gavin Sawchuk 1, Sam Singleton 6. I mean, that's not helping anybody necessarily. I'd rather.
This isn't to make their parents happy sitting on the sidelines. This is about winning football games and who is the best. I don't believe there's so many situations that you need Cromar in for this situation. You need this guy in. I think that makes it too complicated. Yeah. The guy can either play running back or he can't. And I'm not. Of course, they don't ask this in the presser. They don't ask a question. Why is there so much rotation? And if they have asked it, the answer comes out as well. It's all situational football. But when you have what has happened to Roy Dell Williams, he's gotten lost in this mess. I think
they've over recruited the room potentially. I think
they
have
Gavin Sawchuk. Who could come back. I don't think he's ready to go to the next level. You've got Usman Cromar. You got Cam Davis, who supposedly is back, and Mike. Like how he's growing and develop. It's the same words you hear every press conference. I think they're trying to keep everybody's toes wet just a little bit, but I don't think it's going to work. Some of these guys are going to get in the portal.
And they need to. You can't carry 7 running backs. I'm sorry, but Singleton's
then you're trying to
sophomore.
recruit some freshmen to join the class.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like they did over recruit this position, and I think all those guys you mentioned are pretty talented. I mean, Keziah Holmes, who's been here for 2 or 3 years from Penn State, but he's made plays, like you said, like. They have too many running backs, it feels like. And I think they're talented, but you can't keep them all happy. And those scholarships could have gone to transfer portal guys for linebacker or defensive back or line. It's a numbers game at the end of the day. Did we
it's
need
not
8
only
running
numbers,
backs, 9 running backs?
It's money. It's cash as well.
It is, but I think it's
we don't know how
positions.
much these guys have been paid.
Positionally, you could have used those scholarships better at better positions of need. You didn't need 8 running backs that you can only use 3 in a game effectively. Look at Clemson. They used 2 last week. 2 for 25 carries.
And
it wasn't effective, but
we're very, very thin now in the wide receiver room.
Exactly. That's a great point. And what
happened to some of these guys? Why are you thin when you've had like Elijah Moore? Now he's been around for a couple of seasons. Why isn't he ready to step up and take some reps there? There are other guys in that wide receiver room that have been around, but all I hear is we're really thin there now.
You know why they're thin? Because of lack of development and recruitment. Hakeem Williams should be here, but he didn't pan out. He was your 1 5-star that Mike brought in at the receiver. And he hasn't panned. Well, he hasn't been at Colorado either. But it's like, that's a great question. Something that Ira or whoever at Warchant is at these press conferences should be asking is, why are you thin though? You've been here for 6 years, Mike. Why is it when one freshman, Javon Boggs, is out, are we now thin? A true freshman's out, and now we're thin at receiver? Why? You've been recruiting for 6 years. Why?
Listen, they don't ask questions like that.
It's a great question.
They're afraid to ask questions like that. They're afraid to put the coach on defense.
But think about this. Jaylen Brown got dismissed last week. He was another guy you brought in. The 3-year kid that now is at LSU. What's his? Destin Hill didn't pan out.
Went to Oregon. He's doing okay at Oregon. Malik Benson.
I liked Malik. I liked him here too.
Yeah, he's doing okay. He's doing okay.
I thought he was a really good player. He just wasn't consistent. He didn't get on the field consistently. But yeah, and this is where it comes down to is lack of recruiting, development, and retaining the right guys. You can't be thin by just losing a true freshman receiver when you've been recruiting that position for years. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And that's on Mike, and Mike should realize that and know that he can't use. Well, we're light on that position when you have 9 running backs and you have other positions.
And you got Jalen Lucas in the running back room too, right? He's considered a running back as well. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is. It's
another question of why Mike, in my opinion, won't be here in 2026. But that's another day.
Yeah. So with that, let's talk about.
Well, let me throw a couple words here.
Okay.
Listen, I didn't have to look too deep into this Virginia Tech Hokies team. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, these are 2 bad football teams playing each other.
Yeah.
But they're 2 bad football teams. That means they're probably either one could win this game. Now the Hokies are on the road. This is I think they're only their 2nd game away from home. So most of their games are going to be on the road here, I guess, for the remainder of the season. I think there's going to be a pretty good crowd there of Seminole fans. It's going to be a cheap ticket to get in. It's a night game. So anybody out there wants to take their family, go on a ticket site, pick the ones you want. I like TickPick. They're not a sponsor of this show. But TickPick, you can find tickets on there $10. All right. And have a nice evening. So you can take the whole family to the game for under $50. Well, you got to park, somehow and pay a little bit for that. But going to a night game is so much better than a noontime start or a 3:30. This is a chance to go and see a pretty competitive football game. Now the spread is anywhere from 10.5 to 13.5. It's kind of moved out to 13.5, favoring the Noles, 13.5 points.
Yeah.
Here's the key for the Noles to win this game. Some of the things we've already talked about. Catch the damn football. If it's thrown to you, catch the football. If it hits your hands, you should catch the football. Avoid costly penalties. You don't want long runs called back. Singleton had one of those against, I think, Clemson. A long run called back.
Yep.
And you've got to convert touchdowns in the red zone, not just field goals. Not just field goals.
Yep.
And you should be able to do this on this Hokie team. They fired their head coach 3 games in. Head coach Brent Pry got fired 3 games into the season. He was 0-3, but God, that's what you call a quick trigger. And they still haven't hired anybody. Now, what's his name? Who's the guy just
Franklin.
got fired? Franklin has been mentioned there, but I think his agent is leveraging that.
Yeah.
I think his agent is leveraging that. Okay, Franklin's in play. He's out here. There's a lot going on behind the scenes now. But the Hokies are horrible in the red zone. They give up about 80% of the time. They give up points when a team gets in the red zone. But the bad news for Florida State, most of the time, they're only giving up field goals. So that should be very interesting once we get down into that red zone. Here's another thing we could exploit. The Hokies, 71, they're listed 71 in the national rankings in pass defense. If we're ever going to pass the ball, we thought we'd do it against Clemson too. If we're going to throw the ball, this is a good opportunity to get a balanced offense. I think we're going to be able to run on them. I think we're going to be able to push them around just a little bit and run on them. And then that should set up the passing game. I'll be shocked if we don't get a couple of 100 yards in the passing game. I'd be shocked if we don't get 125 yards rushing the football. But here's my last key. Here's the last key. You must take care of Tyrone Drones. Now, we talked about Drones coming here before Castellanos did. You kind of waved it off. He's been around. He's played a lot of football. He's a little inconsistent. He's kind of like Tommy, except he's a bigger kid. He's a much bigger kid. And when he runs, you better wrap him up. He will run over you. Now, he is going to run the football, both on directed plays and when the pocket breaks down. He is the second leading rusher on the Hokies football team. He's got 127 carries thus far for almost 500 yards. So between him and their running back, I forget the guy's name, doesn't matter. You must keep watch of Tyrone Drones. How they're going to do that, whether they put a spy on him, they've got to keep him in that pocket. And that's going to be tough to do. We haven't done a good job with that most of the year. That is your key. Tyrone Drones cannot run wild on you and pick up consistent third downs and keep pushing the sticks.
Yeah, I agree with you that Tyrone Drones, he's kind of like Tommy. He's not a terrific passer. You look at the games they lose, horribly inefficient with the ball in terms of in the air. I mean, he had 76 passing yards against Louisville last week, but he kept them alive. And in the first half, that game was a very, very tight game. They were leading, I believe, because due to his legs. He had 85 yards rushing, a touchdown with his legs, one with his arm, and he was carrying that squad forward. So he kind of is like Tommy, where he kind of wills that offense forward any way possible. But he's, like you said, a bigger guy. I will disagree with you in that the pass defense, I don't think is totally exploitable. Virginia Tech in conference play is around 6th in total pass yards given up, which ranks them just behind Florida State and Louisville. So I wouldn't say their pass defense is super. I mean, Clemson, like you mentioned, is 9th in the ACC when looking at total yardage in conference given up. And so it pains me because I thought, like you said, we would be able to air the ball when we need to against Clemson. And we did in some regard, like down the sideline to Deuce, and Deuce was able to make his plays. So I would expect that to happen. But I don't think we should say totally write off this Virginia Tech pass defense, and say we're just going to be able to sit back and air it out, because we haven't really shown we can do that.
That's our game, right?
We don't want to do that, like you said. Exactly, because this offense has not shown the ability when they're from behind. They can just creatively start throwing the ball around the field, especially in the middle of the field. but Virginia Tech does have two, I believe, true freshmen in their defensive backfield. So we know freshmen can be prone to make some mistakes. Now, to your point, we do want to get the run game going, obviously. And Virginia Tech has not shown the ability to really do that. I believe in conference play specifically, they're giving up 138 yards per game, which is typically the number Florida State wants to get to be able to balance out that offense. That 120, 130 number is usually what allows us to kind of balance out our offense, set up the play action, and hit some big plays down the field with Tommy's arm. So that gives me some relief, because Clemson came into the game last week with only giving him 110, and we hit around 110. So Virginia Tech's defensive line against the run is susceptible to the run. I believe we will see more Sam Singleton. I think we should, because I do think he's one of the more dynamic backs that we have available, along with Chroma in terms of his balance. But I think Sam of the running backs is more see the hole, hit the hole. That's not a lot of dancing with him. I think the issue with Chroma is he's still young. He's still figuring out. He likes to do the dancing and
he likes to look and see. He is a little slower getting to the line of scrimmage. You're exactly right. And when you see that, I've noticed that as well. That he's kind of looking for a hole. He's kind of looking for that crease. And I think at the speed of the game now, from high school to here, it's not the same. And he's starting to learn that he's going to have to hit the hole. And I totally agree with you. Sam Singleton hits the hole quickly.
Yeah.
And that's really the game at this level.
And I think that's come with maturity of Sam going through the practices for multiple years now and just kind of picking that up, like you said, the speed of the game. So
if you go back and look back in the day, look for a former FSU great running back who played in the NFL for several years, Sammy Smith. Sammy Smith, back in Bobby Bowden's day, great FSU running back. Komar reminds me of Sammy Smith. He didn't hit the hole super fast, but when he got going, he kind of looks like him to me, his body type. But go back sometime, look at some old film on Sammy Smith, and tell me you don't think he looks about the same. But yeah, there's two different guys there, you know. And I think if you use Sawchuck, if you use Singleton, and then you use Cromar, that's a nice rotation right there. Why do we have to go any deeper than that?
But I would continue, once again, I would not go deeper than 3. I would like to just go with 2. Personally, going forward, just to see how a 2-man rotation goes, just to find the 2 you like a thunder and lightning kind of combo, right. Whether it's Sawchuck and Sam or Chroma and Sam, just so they can get in a rhythm themselves, not be taken out.
These guys are used to carrying the ball in high school for 20 carries.
Yeah,
or
exactly. More. I'd rather that happen. Now, on the flip side of this, and we know the game plan, Florida State, what we want to do and get things set up. Virginia Tech is the same way. They're very much a one-dimensional offense. Rushing the ball is what they want to do. In conference, they lead the ACC versus conference in rushing the football with 217 yards per game. So they know what they want to do, and they do it pretty well. They have dynamic running backs. I think you may have mentioned them before. Terrion Stewart's one of them. Marcellus Hawkins. They have. And they do kind of a little bit of a committee. They rotate a couple of, Tyron Stewart, Mark Hawkins, and you include drones in that. They have that kind of, like I said, similar to Florida State, and that they use a quarterback, because Drones is, I believe, a little bit more healthy than Tommy is. But they use him,
and he's a bigger kid.
Correct. And they use him.
He's a bigger man.
Yeah, they use him as part of that rotation, but they effectively do that, and they want to run the football, because once again, like I said, Drones isn't an elite arm talent. He's not a great arm talent.
He can throw. He can throw the football.
He can, but they don't want to throw the ball. They don't want, just like us, we don't want to come from behind and start throwing the ball. I mean, he's 85th in QBR right now. With 15 TDs, 6 interceptions. They do not want to if we put them behind, they cannot pass their way back into the game. So they want to get ahead. They want to lean on our defensive line. And it's going to be up to our defensive line to have, in my opinion, a very similar game, somewhat to last week against Clemson, because Clemson, they had their running game a little bit, but it wasn't like they gashed us for 175 yards. What we didn't do well against Clemson, we have to do better against Virginia Tech. We have to contain the quarterback, because Drones is going to beat you a lot worse than Club did last week.
Klubnik took off on some runs.
And he was injured. He had a bad ankle, and he was able to break contain, and he was able to run for a couple of first downs and some big runs on a bad ankle. That is what scares me about this game. Not a talent disparity, nothing like that, but the fact that Virginia Tech wants to lean on the running game. They know they can do it because they've done it well in ACC play, regardless of wins and losses. We just see the raw numbers of it. But it's also the fact that we have struggled with mobile quarterbacks because our defensive line does not have they don't keep to lane integrity. We overrun the quarterback, and then he just finds that open lane and runs for 10, 15 yards. And our linebackers sometimes have their back turned to the ball. I've seen that multiple times where guys have their back turned to the ball, and they turn around, the guy's already passed them on the second level.
They're running to try to get into their coverage, and they have their backs to the ball. That's right.
And so that's what scares me about this game. It's not like Virginia Tech is coming in with some Heisman caliber receiver or running back or quarterback, but it's the way they execute their offense is the thing that scares me. And that's how they beat teams like NC State early in the year. That's how they've kept games competitive, with like South Carolina and
Louisville, they played pretty tough. Yeah.
Georgia Tech, they played tough, 15 points, whatever. Yeah. But this is a team you can't take lightly. We can't, obviously we can't take any team lightly because of, our season so far. But that's what scares me about Virginia Tech is how they execute their offense and our lack of being able to stop that effectively so far this year.
Well, I'm going to say there's going to be a lot of energy in the stadium. It's also senior day. So anybody running out of eligibility is going to get introduced onto the field, I think, before the game. If their parents are there or their guardians or sponsors, they're going to be there. It's going to be a nice event for people. Yeah. Should be decent weather. 7:30 kickoff, 7:30 kickoff. Mm-hmm. I think it's a nice event for everybody. I want to believe, and I'm going to put a bet on this game. I put $50 in a piggy bank there on Seminole Hard Rock, and not a sponsor of the show. I'm not saying people should go out and bet. We're not doing that. I do it just for fun. I've won one and I've lost one. Okay, on Seminole football at this point. I don't know. I was gonna bet. I was gonna take the spread in Virginia Tech at 13.5. But I want to believe Florida State's gonna have a really, really good game, and I want them to have a really good game. So I think I hate to give up 13.5 points. What do you think?
Yeah, the spread doesn't. The spread doesn't really make sense to me because of the way Florida State's played and just the dynamics of the game. But I think maybe what the betting lines are seeing is that when Virginia Tech loses, they lose by multiple. They usually lose by 10 plus in most of their matchups outside of like Wake Forest. So I think that's what's playing into it. They expect Florida State to win. It's at home, and they expect if Florida State's going to win, they're going to win big. So or they're going to win by that double digit. They're going to be able to establish the run game and kind of lean on it. So I honestly I do think it's going to be probably a 7 to 10 point game. And just the fact that, once again, this is the most dynamic in terms of running quarterback that Florida State has faced all season. It's going to be I don't know how the defense is going to be really adjusting for that and how they're going to face that. Because we know we struggled with really dynamic players in the backfield, whether it's be a running back or a quarterback. But this is the most dynamic quarterback we faced all year in terms of mobility threat. And like I said, our linebackers aren't super athletic, and our defensive line doesn't always have elite lane discipline. This could be a lot closer than I think the bettors believe.
Corey Hall's telling me, don't do it. Don't place the bet.
I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't. I expect this to be a
Robert's
7.
got 13, a lot of points coming off a big game. So
yeah, I expect this to be a 4 to 7 point spread, in my opinion. I'm going to pick Florida State. I
always feel like a traitor if I'm picking against Florida State, but
I'm just realistic.
I put down like $10-15. I won the last bet I won was when Florida State basketball just beat who was it? Alcorn State.
Yeah.
It was something like 23 points or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't win that one. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Well, Florida State's
But
4-5 against the spread this year, and Virginia Tech's 2-7. If that gives you any insight.
God,
So neither are great bets.
I would never do this on a regular basis. It's too difficult. Too difficult. But I think that's kind of the insight of this game. Every sign says being a home game. The last home game here, Florida State's got to win this. They can't send these fans home on a loser in the last home, or the seniors on this team. It would be devastating. Devastating. It's been a devastating season. This would be horrible to see this. And I don't think it has anything to do with Mike Norvell, staying or keeping his job or losing his job. That's another discussion for another night. Florida State really has to win this game for the fandom, just to get a little relief, get some pressure off before we go into the final two games against NC State and Florida in Gainesville.
Well, and for guys like, Daryl Jackson and Jerry Wilson and Jabril Rawls and Little Jr., those guys who may see themselves.
Tommy Castellano. And maybe Tommy Castellano.
Well, I'm talking about
to come back.
I'm not talking about coming back. I'm talking about if they looking to play at the next level, they need to continue to show tape, and they need to show good tape.
They do.
Those guys specifically. Jerry Wilson was a top defense back when he came to Florida State.
Yeah.
He hasn't played like it, and the ratings back that up. He needs to continue to, he's not the worst cornerback in football, but he's not a top 50 guy. So he needs to continue to show positive tape. He needs to try to make good plays and put that on tape, regardless of the opponent on the other side. Same thing, Jabril Rawls. I think he's made great strides this year, and he needs to continue to compile tape for himself. Same with Daryl Jackson. Jabril is a sophomore. I thought he was a sophomore. Sophomore.
He's going to go. He's not going to.
Redshirt sophomore.
You think he's going to go out?
He could get money. I mean, that's the thing. They're going to have to lock down who are the guys we want to build around, regardless of the coach.
The guy we're hearing the most about who could really increase his stock, and you just mentioned his name, is Daryl Jackson. Daryl Jackson is a guy in the middle. They're saying this guy has the measurements. The NFL is always looking at measurements. Okay. Yeah. And he's shown the ability to make plays. He's shown the ability to still learn and develop. He could make some big stride by being a huge disruptor in the next 3 games. In the next 3 games, if he can get nasty and be a huge disruptor in there, okay, and he doesn't have to make a bunch of sacks. That's the drawback on him right now. No, but
he's
hold that middle. Yeah. He can hold that middle. He can make a lot of money.
Yeah, and I didn't think we were going to see a bunch of. They're playing a 3-3-5. I didn't expect to get you're not going to see a bunch of sacks from Daryl Jackson in the middle of that line. But like you said, he's held up pretty well in run defense. He's ranked 18th in the all defensive linemen in run defense grades by PFF. So he's, like you said, and his measurements are good. But like you said, you got to still put up positive tape for especially those guys who see themselves going to the next level. So yeah, they have a lot to play for, especially the seniors. And I think this is a game obviously we can win. And that offensive line, even though it's played well for Virginia Tech in terms of the run game, it's not like they have all the ACC guys in that line either. So this is a game where once again, that line, I thought they played decent last week. I thought they had some disruptive plays. I thought they were dynamic throughout the game. I want to see them grow on top of that performance. Keep giving this offense chances to score the ball. Get 3 and outs. Give them a short field. They weren't able to take advantage of it last week, but you got to keep giving this offense the ability to score, and I think they'll figure it out. But
and you got to keep Virginia Tech in the 3rd and longs.
Yes,
don't give them the 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s, because drones will take off. He can pick that up very easily.
We also got to get off the field in 3rd and long, because we've seen a lot of times this season we've given up big 3rd and longs as well. Right. So you got to get off the field regardless. And that'll be the battle: is can you get off the field on 3rd and 8?
What's your pick?
I'm going to go with Florida State with. By three or 4 points. I do think they'll be super close just because of the dynamic threat of drones. And it's going to be up to this defense. Can they hold Virginia Tech to under 20 points and let this offense, give this offense plenty of chances to score and get ahead and let them build a lead? Because I think if Florida State can build like a 14-point lead and then lean on the running game and use time possession, that's how they cruise in this game. But if Florida State immediately gives up opening drive of 7 points and puts the pressure back on the offense that struggled last week, I think this is going to be a super tight game. So I'm hoping it starts out strong, but I think it'll be Florida State win by three or 4-ish points.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's Florida State by 10.
But we need guys like Earl Little, those guys who set a tone, step up, get up onto the next level and take drones down to be tried. Like, we need each of these guys to set a tone, be physical, get the quarterback down. Like you say, you got to wrap up a 6'2" quarterback like this guy.
Blake Nicholson can't go up there and just try to shove him over. He'll shove Blake over. I mean, this
and it's got to be group tackling. It's got to be group tackling. Guys got to be flying across the field to group tackle too. It can't just be one guy slows him down and everyone's got to back him up. So we need to see that level of effort that we've seen a couple of times this year. So it should be a fun game.
Should be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. PFF grades. Anything there big stand out for you after the Clemson game? Anything noteworthy?
Well, in terms of the only thing that stood out to me is Tommy struggled downfield in terms of his just passing numbers. Like we saw, 20 plus, he was 0 for 7 down the field. Horrible with the interception too. He was just horrible down the field, 20 plus yards, no matter where it was on the field. But also, throwing around the line of scrimmage, he struggled too. I mean, this is something where, even the short stuff was what he struggled with. And like I said, some balls were behind, some were just dropped, but that placement of the football, he started to struggle with more and more as the season's gone on. And I don't know if that's part of the injury. I don't know if that's some of the pass blocking, or that's just his eyes moving and he's moving out of the pocket too quickly. I think it's a mixture of all three of those things. But he really struggled around the line of scrimmage, short, and then in the very long balls. That 10 to 20 yards is where he excelled, but deep
he
or
was
very
seven
short.
of 10 there in the line of scrimmage to 20 yards out. Right? Am I reading that right? 7 of 10?
Where are you seeing 7 of 10?
In the middle.
Here?
I'm talking about middle, where we always
6
talk
of 10.
about where
6
he
of
gets
10. Yes. 7 of 10 right here.
7 of 10 for almost 75, 80 yards.
Yeah.
Not bad. I that surprises me a little bit that he did that well in here. I still would like to see the tight ends more involved. And I know what you're going to say. Well, that's not Gus's offense. Well, shit. You're supposed to make some adjustments per team. That has come up in across open source media that I read. Will Gus adjust to what teams they're playing? To incorporate different segments in against the team. I always thought we've had some really good tight end potential, but we don't seem to get much out of them except Randy Pittman. He gets a couple of balls, but it's always kind of frustrating, Nick O'Leary is the guy, when he was here at Florida State, how well we used that tight end position with a Nick O'Leary. I kind of miss that because that really slows down that linebacker core, and it takes one of their guys out of the play. But
no, I agree with you. I think the second half adjustments haven't felt there this year. I don't think the offense and sometimes the defense hasn't done well to adjust to what they're seeing on the field and really come out hot in the second half as much. So you could say maybe the Miami game, stuff like that, but it just hasn't felt like the offense dramatically changes when things need to. They keep using the same plays, it feels like, over and
I
over
would think
until
if
it
you
works.
came out, because we don't use the tight ends much, and all of a sudden we had a bunch of plays for tight end play, right?
Yeah.
I would think it would create a little bit of confusion for your opponent.
The other thing I want to point out is, Mekhi Danzey really didn't get involved last week in the pass game at all. And I think it's someone you have to either get him involved long or short, but you can see he got 6 balls his way, didn't get him deep. That was an interception. It was a bad ball. Deep on the right side, 0 for 1. You got him 1 on that one of the short passes behind the line of scrimmage. And then you missed him in the middle, and then you got 1 on the sideline for 15 yards. So, you really, and
he's your number 2 receiver.
and one of your most dynamic playmakers. You can't let a guy like this only get 2 receptions all game, 2 touches essentially. You got to find ways to get a guy like this involved.
Without
And I think
just
you got to
gadget plays. Yeah.
exactly, and you got to get him involved more deep if
He's
you're going to
got
go
good
deep.
hands. He's got good hands.
And then compare the chart to Deuce Robinson, where you basically targeted him all over the field. And effective, he was most effective in that middle of the field. And you had a couple of those sideline throws that we talked about that. I think Tommy, that's his best throw, is that kind of sideline, whether it's back shoulder or just straight line down the sideline. But Deuce had some really
Tommy
good
throws a back shoulder. I think he just throws it out there.
Yeah, and Deuce is a really good, receiver. So yeah,
get it out there to the shoulders. We'll take it from there.
Yeah, so I think you really got to get Mekhi more involved. That's a guy you want to keep, in my opinion. And I know there's been debate whether or not he's kind of posted some things that make iterating to like he's going to choose a sport, whether it be football or
he's
track.
He's going to make a lot more money in football because I think his stock is on the rise. Okay, I think he's already made money going into next year, whether he stays at Florida State and gets a raise or he tests the portal and see, because people have seen him. They know who he is now. They know he's got pretty damn good hands and he's got speed. The question is he a good route runner at this point? Can he get separation? That's the difference when you go from college ball to the pro ball to the NFL. And can a guy get separation? That's the hit that's coming back on Keon Coleman. Now, Keon Coleman's not a blazing speed guy, but he can't get great separation. And it's starting to catch up to him. They're starting to catch. He's not as productive as he was in his first year. Now they're starting to figure him out. And he's there's been other receivers. Peter Warwick, you know that name. Peter Warwick, one of the great ever receivers at Florida State. When he got drafted by Cincinnati Bengals, he got drafted like in the first round. All right. Yeah. He couldn't get that separation. He wasn't a true speed guy, but he couldn't get great separation. So route running and being able to get that separation is a big key for a receiver at this level too.
Yeah. You can't just all rely totally on your physicality and stuff like that. You got to be able to get some, especially at the next level, like you said, is pretty important. The only other thing that really stood out to me is that I thought their line played okay, but I didn't think it was by far anywhere close to their best game.
What were the grades on that?
Micah Pettis did struggle. You can see his grades here. He was average, to say the least, across run blocking and pass blocking. Pettibon had a very good game, especially in the pass blocking sector, 84 grade there. Adrian Medley probably had one of his better games of the season, I believe, in terms of his grade out. His best pass blocking grade. He's had some terrible pass blocking grades throughout the year, but this was by far his best.
But look at the run block grades. Not elite by any means. Gunnar Hansen, 40. Oh, just 50%.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, and that's the thing. We see like 110 yards, 100 yards. And you're like, and you'll see those flashes, but we have struggled to get those big rush yardage games in conference. And get that balance on the offense. Get those rushing yards when we need them. The 3rd and 3s, the 3rd and 4s. We have to go. We feel like we have to go to the pass or these gadget plays.
And obviously, it hurts you in the red zone if you can't rush the ball in the middle of the field. You ain't going to rush it in the red zone because they're tightening up even more.
Yeah.
So
the rushing grade the rushing grades are very interesting to see.
Clemson. Yeah, not good against Clemson.
Are very interesting to see.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, just something to keep in mind, and hopefully these can improve. But Florida State has struggled to rush in conference. I think we're 5th in conference in rushing. I mean, still 158 yards, but it wasn't as efficient, I think, as we thought it would be coming into after the Alabama game, coming into the major season against the top teams. We have struggled a bit with running consistently.
We're ranked nationally 56th.
Yeah.
Out of 132 teams right now for red zone touchdowns.
Yeah.
You got to be up in the top 25 at least. You know what I mean? We're struggling. We're struggling there on that number. and yards per pass. We're struggling. That's on the defensive side. Yards per pass against our defense, we're ranked 72nd. So that's not outstanding either.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that's all I got on that, and
Okay.
then in the Clemson PFF, and I think we got our predictions in Virginia Tech. So 7:30 or 7 o'clock that game is
7 or 7:30. Now
Yeah,
the struggle
ACC Network.
between Disney and YouTube TV is still ongoing. You
Yeah.
know, so again, I don't know if anybody out there. I asked this last time. This Sling TV thing, I kind of like that you can get a day pass. That's a very interesting concept. And I've
Yeah.
always called for this kind of a smorgasbord type of situation where you could go to your screen and pick out, like you say, I want to watch this game. And let's say it was $10. Who cares? It costs you $200-300 to go to a game. It costs you $20 to go to a movie. You wouldn't pay $10 to see Florida State play. I don't
Yeah.
care how bad they are. Yes, you're going to do that. Has anybody out there, like Robert here, Robert's saying, what about the ACC network? That's on Disney. Disney owns ACC network. So if this thing isn't settled, and it doesn't look like it's going to be, and I do have YouTube TV, then you have to look for it elsewhere. And there are some spots that it's coming up to, okay? And KB always says, don't put it out, and I won't do that. I don't think it's any big secret, but it's crazy. In fact, I was watching FSU basketball against the Gators the other night on the quote secret channel, which is YouTube, and all of a sudden it went off. Boom. They took the channel down. This channel has been suspended or whatever. And then it popped up on another one. It's like whack-a-mole. You know how whack-a-mole was?
Yeah.
They just pop it up. It's crazy. It's crazy. But the Sling TV, if anybody's done the day pass, please put down your experience in the comments. I'd love to know that. It says starting at $4.95. You can do it for, I think, one game. You can do it for the whole day. You can do it for the whole weekend. Now, I don't know if you can get NFL games. Maybe you can.
No, I don't. Well, maybe, I don't know.
I think so. I think you might. You might have to pay more. It's not
Well,
just
the Day
$4.95
Pass
for everything.
includes a package channel. So if the game's on Fox, then you would be able to watch it on Fox. You have to look at it. Does include both, because they do their packages, like some of their packages include just Fox networks and their sports channels. Some include Disney.
I
and their
think that's
sports
the
network.
future. I really think there's a future in putting a price per game, just like the what is it, the MMA?
But the
UFC
reason they don't like
fights
that, is because it's not recurring revenue. So
Of
you
course.
can't predict that revenue. So
course.
that's why
Of
it's not
course.
a model you want to do, because they can't count on it and they can't predict it.
It's not a good business model.
Yeah. So I don't think it's
Right.
necessarily the future, because it's no financial guy wants to.
Why are you
implement
ruining
that.
my dream, KB?
Oh, I'm just telling you.
Well, the future is not going to be YouTube TV much longer for me, because I can't get the games I want to see. What else do I don't look at much more on there besides the games, the college games. And generally what I do anyways, when college football's over, I cut it off. Boom, I cut it off until the next August and then reset it up. There's no penalties at all. So I save about 7-8 months of $90 a piece. That's 700 and some bucks. That's a big savings.
Yeah.
Right? What do
Yeah.
you watch stuff on?
I just ESPN
secret
or
channel.
YouTube. I just use
The
YouTube.
secret
I just
channel.
watch YouTube. I don't really watch games outside of Florida State.
I'll tell you what, anybody who loves soccer, you can't get any better soccer than there is on YouTube Live. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But probably the most popular thing on YouTube is Roblox.
Oh God.
Christ,
Okay.
no, wait,
what the hell
no,
are we
wait a
talking
minute.
about?
One
Jesus
guy's on there
Christ.
live every
I
night. He's
don't
getting
care.
20,000 viewers. How is
could
that
care less.
possible? How is that
Could
possible?
care less.
We'll
All
get
right.
10.
Final things
Yeah.
talking about here other than freaking
Okay,
roadblocks.
Ricky Knight looks like he's got some criminal type allegations against him.
I have something up. I don't care about Ricky Knight. I wasn't talking about him.
Well, we'll
I was
talk
talking about
it
Brian
later.
Kelly saying that he's, LSU saying that they never formally terminated Kelly, and they're seeking now to fire him for cause so they don't have to pay him his buyout. I didn't know if you had any comments or
Yeah, I
thoughts
do.
on
I do have a
LSU.
comment. I do have a comment.
Yeah.
If this is true, in a legal filing obtained by Brian Kelly's lawyer state LSU is saying it never formally terminated Kelly and are now saying, okay, if this is true, it does show once again the incompetence of these universities and the university systems that are running all these athletic departments. Okay. How the shit don't you have legal people on staff, which I'm sure they do, and they don't follow? It's like firing somebody from a company you work for. There's a list of steps you go through. Okay. And here's an example. San Francisco, did you see that train the woman was operating and she fell asleep at the wheel and the whole train is going crazy? She finally wakes up and gets it stopped. And the first thing she says, everybody calm down. And then the news reporter says she's probably going to be placed in an administrative non-trained position. I'm going, no shit. Why don't you just fire her ass? You know why? Because they have to go through steps.
Yeah.
If Brian Kelly is right and his lawyers are right, it just shows the stupidity of these athletic departments and how they handle stuff. It's crazy. And his lawyers probably smell something here. Now, one more comment, and this is about Mike Norvell's. Everybody in the open source media that covers Florida State, they're saying, well, they'll probably get a negotiated settlement with Mike on a buyout. I'm going like, why the hell would Mike negotiate anything? If he has a firm contract, why would you negotiate anything except that you want to be a nice guy and leave some money for the program? Otherwise, why would a coach say, you're going to fire me? I'm not negotiating shit. It's almost like these sports agents, the guys like Sexton and others, really have so much knowledge and leverage over these universities. It's a joke. So if Brian Kelly's right, go for it.
Yeah.
That's my comment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Is that your comment?
Yeah. I mean, they're obviously trying to find some way to pay him less money. Apparently, they offered him 20 or 30 million, and he said no, kick rocks. So,
they're trying to go for cause. What is the cause? Is he having some kind of a liaison with the athletic department secretary? That would be for cause. Ask who was that at Auburn? Terry Bowden? No, who was that? No, not Terry.
Freeze? Okay, we don't have to get into it. There's been a lot of people doing bad things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for cause, but cause also has to be described, in some kind of specific words in a contract. You can't just throw out allegations. I know, coaches, all kind of coaches have had allegations thrown at them.
And to be clear, LSU never claimed that he was terminated for cause prior to November 10th. And that's what their lawsuit against LSU says. So, so they would have had to inform him. So they're just speaking out of their ass. They're trying to somehow get him to buy out for less money. It's an S show here. They're going to have to pay. They made a decision. They're going to have to pay. They're saying,
what I say about Norvell. If you made a contract for him and the buyout is $50 million, well, why would he negotiate that?
Yeah.
You want to fire me? You got to buy me out. It's $50 million. That's the contract. Now I'm going to be a nice guy. I'll throw 10 in the kitty here for the program, and I tried my best. I'll give you 10 back and I'll walk out of here. Everybody feels good. Everybody win-win. But coaches have very contracts like you're out. You're either in or you're out. So
Yeah, what apparently LSU is that their former AD, Director Woodward at LSU, who's now been terminated, departed, he was not acting with authority to be able to fire Coach Kelly when they met. So they're saying that there was no grounds for the termination with cause, and that meeting that he had Coach Kelly, he had no authority to fire Coach Kelly at that time. Thus, yeah, it's a whole, but still, it's a whole S show. So it's and now that guy's not even there anymore. So yeah, they're just trying to save some money overall, because 54 million is a lot of money, and they're not going to win.
Let me ask you one other thing. In terms of the Norvell thing, obviously that's a big subject matter across the FSU media now. But you know what I find interesting is, and again, I've been saying, and I will say, I don't think he's going to. I don't believe, and he should not be the coach in 2026. However, I'm saying if he's not, and you think your guy is James Franklin, or you think your guy is Jimbo Fisher, or you think your guy is Ed Orgeron, or whoever, you would have fired. That's why I say those guys aren't going to be here. You would have fired Mike by now, so you get these guys on board, even if you have an interim head coach, and have these guys start gearing up, because you've got signing dates coming up and everything else. And I'm saying that's why those guys won't be here. If Florida State wanted James Franklin, he'd been here, because he has no job right now. Jimbo Fisher has no job right now. Ed Orgeron has no job right now. There's no other reason you would wait on those guys. Here's what Florida State is doing, and I believe this. Other leading Florida State shows say they have no clue why they don't have, and they go, we don't have any clue. We don't have any inside information. They're saying that. They have no sources. I'm telling you what's happening. Florida State is waiting. They're probably in talks with a guy that's on one of these playoff teams or potential playoff teams, probably one of the top ones. And they're waiting, and the agreement is we're not going to say anything to anybody until our playoff run is done, and then it's going to happen. That makes sense to me why you're riding out this streak. It does not make sense to me that if he wins out and he's 7 and what? If he wins out, what would he be? 7 and 5, whatever. That he's going to come back. He's going to be brought back because he's shown substantial. So on. No, he's not. He's going to have to rebuild the football team again. He's going to have to bring in a lot of new parts. That's what's happening. It'll be a pick off of one of these top 10 playoff teams. You wait and see. Wait and see. Write that down.
Well, they play it close because the portal.
James Franklin, he'd be here now.
The transfer portal opens January 5th or something. So if they are going after a big fish, they better have that secured in the background already, because that person's going to have to come in and but that's the thing. You are basically tanking your high school class.
Teams left. You'll only have.
But you're basically tanking your high school class. Because who's going to sign with a dead end coach? It
won't be a great class. They've already lost 3 or 4 guys.
But I'm saying, but you're not going to sign anybody. Why would anybody sign in general?
Well, some guys, 3 stars will sign because they want to come here. They want to come here. They're willing to take the chance. I don't care who shows up. If you're good enough and you have confidence, you say, I don't care who it is. For certain defensive positions, what difference does it make? Now, if you're a quarterback or a running back, a skilled guy could, but it's going to be a guy. But by January 5th, how many teams are left in the playoffs? 2 or 4? Probably 2. 2. And then they get 2 weeks off, I think. So
playoffs, the playoff schedule
January 20th or something.
By January, the quarterfinals is December 31st to the 1st, and then the semifinals is 8th to the 9th.
Because let's say you want that OC at Ohio State, he could be in it till the end. So he is not going to have any distractions. You know, you don't want to, as a coach, your agent could be talking, your agent's handling it all. And you're talking to the agent and you go, that's it. It's me and you talking. That's it. And we can see that Florida State media has no leaks. They have no sources. They've admitted to that. I heard them today talking about it. We have no sources. We don't know. We have no clue what's going on. So, and we don't either. But I'm telling you what is going on. There's no other reason to keep him hanging around because they're waiting for a guy to come open. And they already have talked to a guy through their agent. That's my belief. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I do believe that they do have their target on somebody, like you said. But I hope they have it wrapped up. If they are targeting somebody, you got to have the back channels, and you have to have something wrapped.
It could be the coach at Texas Tech. Let's say it's the head coach at Texas Tech.
It's not going to be him.
Well, it could be. He's having a really
Why
good
would
year.
he leave
He's going to be in the playoffs.
Okay, Texas.
No,
he's got better NIL than Florida State does.
But people leave all the time. They have different reasons. They want a new challenge. They want to, you know, people have all kind of shit that goes on. But what I'm saying is he is not going to be available to say anything till that runs over with. So I'm telling you, Florida State.
He doesn't have to say anything publicly, but I'm saying in back channels, you better have a guy basically everything locked up because you don't want to get to December 19th or 20th and that guy say, well, no, never mind, I'm good. And then you're left with nothing.
They could have it locked up. They could already.
It needs to be locked up. I'm telling you, it needs to be locked up.
They could have
paperwork signed, just not public.
Okay, but the guy might get carried over into January and you wouldn't even know it. You wouldn't even know it.
I think that's the risk you have to take. If you're going after a big fish, then that's the risk you take. But you have to have him signed. That's all I'm saying. If you're going after a big fish and you're investing in that person, he needs to have signed before you even get into January. Because then you could potentially tell your prize recruits on your team or on the the guys like Makai that, hey, I'm not saying, but someone big like X could be coming here in the next couple of weeks.
Or you could just flat out tell them and, have them sign a non-disclosure.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I think you need to have, if you're going after a big fish that's going to be in the playoffs, you have to have it signed and sealed and in the background, not public, obviously, but in the background so that you can start locking up the guys that are on your roster that you want to keep and get them on their NIL deals and get them locked in.
I agree with you. The big thing is if Norvell were to be brought back for 2026, they got a lot of explaining to do. They got a lot of explaining because I don't think the fan base is going to buy into it. I don't buy into it. I just don't do it. I don't care if he wins out. It doesn't matter. He is not the guy for this job, And he was pretty blatant this week. He did say, we're going to win another championship here.
Well, they better land. Okay, we'll talk about that next show. We'll talk about that next show.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did say things like that, and for that to happen, he would need to land some massive players, and he's not trending that way in recruiting right now. So
no.
You don't win championships when you go 3 wins, 4 wins. That doesn't attract primetime talent to your program.
And there's no way he's going to have a good recruiting and signing class, high school guys. There's just no way. It makes no sense to the kids or families or agents, unless they're throwing a bag at a guy. And then the guy says, okay, I'll take a chance for a year. It's worth $1 million to me.
Yeah. Well, this will obviously continue for the next couple of months unless something dramatic happens. And then we'll figure out, okay, are they serious about going after an available coach now? So, but yeah, stick with us as we monitor that. That'll be interesting to watch and see who they are targeting. And like I said, hopefully if they are going after a big fish, they have that locked up in the background. But yeah, we'll keep track of that. But if you have any comments who you'd like to see Florida State go after or have us discuss in the future show and evaluate, let us know in the comments. We'd love to see that because obviously we've done a couple of hot board shows and gone over some of our top targets and stuff like that. So we'll probably do one of those shows towards the end of November, kind of get updates on coaches still available because some of these coaches are going to get locked up. I'm sure James Franklin's going to get locked up here in the next month.
Isn't it weird that he hasn't been locked up yet?
I think there's negotiations definitely happening. I think
yeah, he's going to coach this
because
year in
they just know
2026.
as the season comes to conclusion and as those recruiting deadlines come, it puts more pressures on the universities.
And
Yeah, I mean,
I'm asking Florida State, please do not. Do not. This is just a gut level feeling. Do not bring in the coach at USF. Do not bring in
please
Golish.
no. Please
He has the same type of resume as Mike Norvell had. Okay.
And he lives out of the portal. And he lives out of the portal.
Yeah, you can't bring him in, or you're just you might as well just keep Mike if you're going to do that.
Well, that's
So, and this
well,
is no
and that's what
slam
people
on him. But we need something more proven to take us.
But that's what people are saying too. On the flip side of this is that with so many of coaches available, this is the worst. This is one of the hardest times to land a premier coach because of how many programs are looking for coaches in a bidding war. So you may have to go back to Mike. You may have to go back to Mike because it's not worth going after the guy at USF and locking him up for 3 years because that's the only guy you can land.
He's going to want more than 3 years.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I'd rather them not settle for a risky coach for 5 years and $50 million.
This will be the discussion if they end up with leftovers, and then people are going to say, "Well, you waited too late. You can't
end up with leftovers. You
What you're
just have to
saying
stick
is-
with Mike Norvell.
What you're saying, that's right. If you can't get the guy you want, you should have 2 guys. If you can't get one of those 2 guys, then you have to go with Norvell.
Yeah,
you might as well go with Norvell until the next carousel of coaches shows up after 2026.
Because you can't afford to miss big again.
You
literally can't afford it. You literally can't afford to miss big again.
Well, that's the other thing. Then I'll shut up on this. Is the other open source stuff is saying that people don't believe that Florida State doesn't have the money. They now believe the money is there, but there's a plan in place. There's a plan, and there's no sourcing on this, nothing. There's a plan in place, like I've already talked about, but the money is available. So
okay, then use it on the right person. Like I said, use it on the right person. And people won't
yeah.
like that, but if they can't get the right person, you shouldn't force it and take a risky pick again. I'd rather honestly go back with Mike Norvell for another year until the right person's available, because this year is incredibly tough with so many big primetime programs looking for a coach.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not that many good football coaches out there. Just like the NFL, there's not that many good coaches out there.
That's why they keep rotating those guys.
There's not many, and to find the diamonds in the rough is even harder to do. And Florida State can't afford to do that. They can't afford to take another bet on the Mike Norvell from the AAC. They can't do that again. So
I've got one last thing for my comments for tonight, and that is shout out to the FSU basketball squad and Luke Laux, Coach Luke Laux and crew. I think so far I've watched more basketball this season than I have in a long, long time. I'm going to follow them as closely as I can, and they're a very entertaining and interesting basketball team. And this isn't the best team they'll have under Luke Laux. He's just getting started. He has taken the guys he could get, and he's molded them into an NBA style of play. Okay, and he and I'm going to put out a little show on this myself. I think I'm going to put out a little show on this because I know you're busy as hell, and just give a few comments. So I won't blow it tonight, but they just lost to Florida by a basket. Just lost to Florida by a basket. It was a hell of a good game in Gainesville. Gators are the last year's national champions. I think the spread was like 18 points, and Florida State played well throughout the game. They had a run. The Gators went on an 11-point run second half, which kind of screwed them. But we didn't shoot the ball real well, and we don't have really good big men. But believe me, you can get some cheap tickets to go to the Tucker Center. If you get a chance, go in there and see this basketball team. They're actually very good and very entertaining. I think they're going to surprise some people in the ACC.
Yeah, and they just closed on their class, I believe, this evening today. Got 3 really good kids. And they got a big man, Maurice Ponder, out of Gillian Academy in Miami, 6'10" kid. So they are bringing in some size, but Brandon Bass Jr., obviously, a lot of people know Brandon Bass from his NBA days. So good lineage there. So really good top 100 type kids, good talent, small class, but the right kids, Luke Locks believes. So he's starting off hot with a good class, a top 20 class in the country. I mean, their last class, as you can see, there was 100th and 13th in the ACC. So he like you said, he brought in the right transfer portal guys, it looks like, for high octane offense. Exciting one to watch when it's hot, especially. And he's starting to build the foundation here. So definitely tune back in to the FSU basketball when you can. It's a lot more fun to watch because they have playmakers. They're going to lose some games this year, no doubt. But at least it can be entertaining with the type of guys they have brought in. It's not going to be the 7-footers lumbering down the court, and it's not going to be like that anymore.
If you can't play, he's not going to play you. He brings a dynamic NBA style of play, which these guys all want to go to, and I think that's an attraction of him. I have a lot of belief in Luke, a former FSU player here. And our point guard, he's got to stay healthy, McCray. McCray's a hell of a player. I think he put up 19 or 20 against the Gators the other night. He's a hell of a player. He came out of Jacksonville. That was a big find. That was a big find. Some other programs in this country could have used this guy. He's very good, and he's going to get drafted. He's going to play in. He's going to play in the NBA. He's that good. So very exciting, very exciting. I'm excited to watch the games. I really am. Yeah.
Absolutely. So be sure to tune in, guys. Basketball, football. Well, basketball is probably a lot more fun to watch this time of year because of it's fresh season. But tune in on Saturday for Florida State against Virginia Tech. We'll probably be doing a post-game show. If not, we'll do it Sunday. But stick around, hit the bell, subscribe, like, so you get the notifications when we do go live. But we appreciate the support. We appreciate you guys following. Your comments are always appreciated. But thank you again.
And thanks to all these guys that come in here. A lot of different nights, people jump in and out. We understand everybody's busy, and as KB said, thanks so much for your support. It means a lot. We do this for you guys and for us. We have fun with it. And we appreciate it, and I recognized, I didn't want to put their names up, but I may start putting some first names, last initials up, some new subscribers we're getting. We're getting more and more new subscribers. We're doing it the hard way. We're just grinding it out. And we definitely appreciate it.
Well, thank you again, guys. We appreciate the support and appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your weeks. Finish it out strong. And we'll see you this weekend. Take care, everyone. And as always, go Noles. Go Noles.
Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle, we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Every yard we take, it's blood.